This is the finals, a brand new FPS being developed by ex-DICE employees in their new studio, Embark Studios. Now, if you don't know, I'm actually a huge fan of FPS games. I play Call of Duty, Overwatch, Apex, Titanfall, Battlefield. You name an FPS, I probably played it. So I'm always looking for the next big FPS that I'm going to sink a ton of time into to learn the maps and the play style and unlock everything and get really good at. And to be honest, I do really like the finals, but I am also a little worried about whether or not this will be one of those games for me, because I do have some issues with it. Nothing that can't be fixed, of course. This is a beta. They are testing things. They will work to try and improve and take feedback and all that. So we'll have to see what the final game is like. First, I want to say I played this on an Xbox Series S only, so how it plays and runs and feels on other systems, I cannot tell you. Hopefully I'll be able to play it on an X soon, but at the time of making this, I only played it on an S. Now let's get the negatives out of the way, because I really do like this game and I think there's a lot of potential here. But like I said, it does have some issues, at least for me. So let's start with the bugs. I've only encountered a handful. As far as modern day betas go, this one's actually pretty solid, which is rare nowadays. And while I didn't get footage of any of it, I do promise you these things did happen. The first bug I had was during the practice, right after the tutorial. I was just running around and I'm not sure really what happened, but my gun decided to not be in my character's hands anymore and was just floating in front of me. In a practice, not a big deal. You know, who cares? The next issue I had was during a match. And this one was a bigger deal, and I'm not 100% sure if I know what caused it or not, but I have a feeling I do. So the bug was that I had just been killed and respawned, and I was no longer able to look around. My camera was just stuck in one position, and in order to fix it, I had to bring up the equipment menu, which I believe right before I died, I had brought up that menu, and so that's why the camera was locked, I think. I could be wrong about that, but since that's what fixed it, I can only assume that's what caused it. I also had another bug where I was able to walk through a wall. Actually, me and my friend were able to walk through a wall, which, you know, the enemy team wasn't expecting, and neither were we, really. But it was interesting. I think what had happened there was the wall had actually been destroyed, but wasn't actually registering that it had been destroyed, so we were able to walk through it. At least that's what I assume happened. And lastly, this wasn't necessarily a bug, but more of a, I guess, hitbox issue. Was we were doing a cash out, which I'll explain what that is later, but the objective was in an elevator. And me and my squad had this elevator locked down. They were not getting in there. Well, somebody on the enemy team was one of the characters, a heavy, and he had a sledgehammer, which you can't destroy the elevator. But what you apparently can do is swing your sledgehammer and it'll still hit through the elevator. So we actually got killed through the wall from somebody swinging a sledgehammer on the other side of the elevator. And we ended up losing that match because of that, which really sucked. We were so pissed. We were ready to just stop playing the game after that. Ultimately, these bugs weren't the biggest deal, but they were there. and so I thought I would talk about them a little bit. I also felt the shooting felt a little off, and I'm pretty sure that's because there's no aim assist on console. Even if you have crossplay turned off, there's no aim assist, which if you've ever played with a controller and no aim assist, it doesn't feel good. So I don't think that there's aim assist on this game, because my shots, I mean, again, I play a lot of FPS. I'm not that bad at aiming. In this game, I struggle to land shots. My aim is just completely off. And I've only felt that before with games with no aim assist. I've played Overwatch where I'll join up with PC players and it turns off the aim assist and you can feel it. Like, you can tell the difference immediately. And that's what I believe is happening here. So I would like them to put aim assist in, at least if you're playing with crossplay turned off. Now, the first day was actually pretty good after the servers were fixed and there weren't any crashes and I could actually install the game. It was actually really good. I was having full lobbies if teammates left. We were getting backfill. It was really nice. It was working just as intended, I assume. Since the first day, I get lobbies where sometimes entire teams are missing players, so it just becomes 3v3. It's supposed to be 3 teams of 3, and it just becomes 2 teams. No backfill. We never get people if people quit on us. And the amount of people that leave games is ridiculous. I know it's a free-to-play game, so you're going to get a lot of players like that that just leave. They don't really care. But that's going to be a really big problem in this game. I think they need to have harsher punishments for players that leave, and maybe they will in the base game. This is just a beta. When the game fully releases, maybe they'll have something implemented for that. But at least in the beta, people leave my matches all the time. Almost every single game, my teammates leave. And with no backfill or anything, it really sucks. It becomes a 1v6, and you're not going to win that. So they need to have some sort of punishment system for leaving. And I'm not sure what that would be. Maybe you can't load into a match for, 10 minutes or something. Something that stops people from leaving, because it's a real bad problem just in the beta. And I've had games where, like Rogue Company, this is a really big issue where people leave all the time. Or they just go AFK for the entire match. I'm not really sure why they booted up the game in the first place, but there you have it. I have a few more issues that I'll discuss when we get to certain parts, but for the most part, that's it for the issues, at least that I'm going to talk about at the top of this video. Almost everything else from here is relatively positive. Let's talk about how this game works and what you'll be doing in it. So to start off, you have 3 different characters, or I guess classes, or I'm not sure what you categorize it as. But you have a light character, a medium character, and a heavy character. The light character is the fastest, but also has the least amount of health. Their abilities are mostly towards traversal and flanking, and their weapons also reflect that, as they are able to use SMGs, snipers, and melee weapons like swords and knives. They're the best for transporting objectives and for flanking enemy teams. Medium is a well-balanced character, slightly lower health than the heavy, and slightly slower than the light, but they're a good balance. They're right in the middle. Their abilities are more towards supporting the team. They have a heal beam, a turret, and I'm not sure what a recon sense is, I haven't used it, but all their stuff is more towards support. Their weapons of choice are assault rifles, shotguns, handgun, grenade launcher, and a riot shield. The light and the medium are actually the characters I've spent the most time with. Those are my favorites, as I love playing support. In Overwatch I play a lot of support characters, and I also play a lot of DPS in Overwatch as well. I like to pick Tracer or Sombra, so I like the faster characters, but I'm not much of a tank player, so as we move on to talking about the heavy, I am the least experienced with this one. I haven't played much of the heavy. However, you want to level a building, this is the character to do it. And since this game is all about destruction, this is the character you're going to want on your team.
Oh man, they said he could level a skyscraper.
So as expected, heavy is slower, but has the highest health pool out of all the characters. Their abilities are centered around being defensive, locking down objectives with barriers and shields. But they also have destruction abilities, of course. They can just barrel through walls. If there's somebody just camping in a building, they won't be camping for long, I can tell you that. Their weapons consist of LMGs, sledgehammer, flamethrower, and a grenade launcher. I believe they also have a shotgun, but don't quote me on that. Be some diversity in your playstyle as far as what character you want to play as and how you want to kit them out with weapons or abilities or even gadgets, which I haven't really touched on. A lot of them can have some of the same gadgets. They do have special things to their class, like the heavy can get an RPG, the medium can get a defibrillator, stuff like that. But they also have things that they share in there. But let's talk about the game modes you'll be playing using these characters. So at least in the beta, there are only 2 game modes, and I hope there will be more in the full game, or at least shortly after, because 2 game modes doesn't really seem like enough to hold attention for too long. Which I really feel is the biggest problem with this game. If the way the beta is how it launches, player retention is going to be hard to keep on this game, I'm pretty sure. Anyways though, as for game modes, you have Quick Cash, which that's my favorite game mode, and Bank It. So starting with Quick Cash, which you're watching in the footage in the background, most of that is from that game mode, as it's my favorite. That's the one I spend the most time playing. It's a 3v3v3, so 3 teams of 3, and first team to $20,000 wins, which in this mode is just completing 2 objectives. So the way you complete these objectives is that when you spawn in, there will be a vault marked on the map. All teams will rush towards the vault and attempt to open it. Once it's opened, a box will come out, a player will grab the box, and they will take it to a cash out machine. Once they deliver it to the cash out machine, a timer begins. The team that took the vault there now has to defend from the other 2 teams to keep them from stealing it. Now when they do come and steal it, you can of course steal it back. As long as the timer's going, it can keep switching hands as many times within that timer. Whoever has it at the end of the timer wins that cash out. And then the next round begins, where a new vault will spawn on the map somewhere, and you just repeat the process. However, it's not always that simple, because remember, you have all the destruction and everything, So, of course, you can relocate those cash outs. If they're on a second floor, you can just blow a hole through the floor and drop that thing down to you. Or if the enemy team has secured all the doors and you have a heavy on your team, just barrel through the wall. I've even seen players throw jump pads underneath the cash out machine, which causes it to just sit there and bounce up and down, which I'm not sure if you can steal it while it's doing that, so you actually have to destroy the jump pad before you can actually try to take it. You can get pretty creative with this game. Now, there's something in this game that happens not very often, but on the chance it does, and I wish it did happen more often, is on round 4, so if each team has captured it once, then it's, you know, basically like a sudden death, next team to score wins. Well, they'll throw in a special event for that last one, which can change the way you interact with things. It can enable low gravity, it can cause meteors to fall from the sky, or increase damage. There's at least a few different variations that it can be. Like I said, it doesn't happen a whole lot, and I kind of wish it did, that just randomly throughout the match it would just alternate between different events. I think that would be really fun. But right now it's only on the 4th round, so unless all 3 teams manage to score, you're not going to see it too often. I spent maybe 10 plus hours on this beta and only had those events maybe 4 or 5 times. The second game mode is Bank It. This is one I'm not a huge fan of, to be honest. And I don't know what it is. I don't know, I don't like it. Like, I don't think it's an awful game mode, it's just not for me. This one consists of 4 teams of 3. And the first team to get $40,000 wins. And maybe it's the multiple teams part that there's that 4th team that I don't like, because it seems like you're always getting third-partied. Even though you're technically having that issue with the other game mode, considering it's 2 teams going after you while you're trying to complete the objective. But I guess with just that one extra team, it seems a bit more annoying to me. But how do you collect this money? Well, once again, there will be vaults that spawn in. However, that's not the only way to get the money, and the vaults actually change value as the match goes on, increasing how much they're worth. But you can also get money from killing other players. They drop a little bit, or they drop however much they've collected. So if you find somebody that's just collected from a vault, you can kill them and take all that money that they just got from the vault and go and deposit it for your team. Which, once again, it'll be cash out stations that you'll have to take them to, and those actually just cycle throughout the match. So you only have so long to even get to the cash out to start depositing. And I don't think there's a timer after you've started a cash out. I think it just immediately deposits it. But of course, once the money has been deposited, you no longer have to worry about losing it when you die. Now let's talk about the graphics, art design, and level design. Graphically, this game looks really good. As you can tell from the footage, seeing the way the lights bounce around the room, the reflections, just the amount of detail that they have in the environments. It's really, really good. Now, it's not like top of the line graphics or anything, you know, it's not going to blow you away. But they do look really nice, especially with the art design.
The art design is very much Mirror's Edge. I think it's just the way the yellow is like painted on things with the sort of concrete buildings. It sort of looks like it's highlighting things for you to like interact with and grab onto. And I've always been a fan of Mirror's Edge, which was made by DICE, so it sort of makes sense that they would also have the ability to make something that looks like that. However, even though I like the graphics and I like the art design, I do have some issues with the level design. For the most part, I think the levels are designed pretty well. There's, you know, just random, you know, gaps between different areas of the map that you have to take like jump pads to get across. And so there's some hazards there. All of it has, you know, buildings to destroy because, you know, they want you to destroy stuff. They have zip lines for you to interact with, elevators. You can even sort of lift bridges to keep people from coming across. You can put up walls. There's like buttons that just bring up random walls. However, my problem with the level design is that they all feel too samey. You know, when you think about levels in other multiplayer games, you could probably bring up a still screenshot of any map on Halo or Overwatch or even Call of Duty and know what map you're looking at almost immediately. This game, I don't think you could really do that. They all look like just concrete buildings. None of them have enough diversity in them to make them feel any different than another map. And just at a glance, I think it would be hard to tell what map is what. They'd feel a bit too samey to me. You know, they can still have the concrete buildings and still allow you to have a lot of destructibility, but I don't know, putting them in different biomes or something, or have some sort of other color scheme to them maybe. You know, they don't all have to have just the yellow. I'm not really sure. They could do something to change it up a bit, make maps feel more unique and memorable. You know, you should be able to have a favorite map, right? And here they feel so similar that I can't really have a favorite. Like, they're all just on an even playing field. And this is also going to affect the player retention. If their maps feel too samey, and you only have 2 game modes, it feels like you're just playing, you know, one map over and over again. People are going to get bored pretty quick. That was one of the criticisms with Halo Infinite when it launched, is that they made it an open world, so you have this whole Halo ring that you should be able to explore, but you're only able to explore this one forest biome, which, if you look at previous Halo games, you had forest, desert, snow, you had all these other places that you could go. And Halo Infinite is just the one. And that was one of the biggest criticisms there whenever it came to the story, the campaign mode. And I feel like this game may have that same kind of issue where it's just all too similar. Let's talk about the cosmetics and the shop. So there was a battle pass in this, and also a shop. However, you were not able to buy the currency. At least I couldn't see a way of buying the currency. They just gave you currency that you could spend in the shop. But I imagine when the game actually releases, you'll have to buy the battle pass, you'll have to purchase the currency. And the pricing on that, we don't know yet. And there didn't seem to be a way, at least in the beta, to earn the currency. They just gave everybody about 10,000 currency, and you were able to get whatever you wanted from the shop. The battle pass was completely free. You didn't have to spend currency on that. I imagine that'll change in the full game. There is a lot of customization in this. You can customize every little gadget, like your hand grenades and everything, your guns. Different parts on your character, on their wrist, on their feet, legs, chest, face, head. Little accent pieces that like just dangle off your character. There's a lot of customization in this game. However, it being a first-person game, you know, character customization is more for the enemy to see, not really for you. Which, you know, is kind of pointless, but of course every game does it. It's for monetization, which people want to look their best for their friends, I guess. And I think they're gonna have a lot of customization here for those people. Because unlike when most games it's just like a full skin where it just changes the entire character, this game you can change out individual pieces. You can buy bundles that are just a full outfit, but you can only, but if you wanted to, you could take just parts of that bundle and put it on your character, mix and match however you want. Which I think more games should do. Also, Halloween happened during this beta, where they actually gave out some free Halloween themed cosmetics. I hope that's something that they continue to do with this game for the holidays. They give out free cosmetics, that would be really cool. Because these free-to-play games, I know they want to make a lot of money off of microtransactions, but a bulk of the player base is going to be free-to-play, and they need to keep those people happy as well. So if they can give out some free stuff for those people or allow them to earn things without having to spend money, that'll benefit their game in the long run. So some last minute advice and tips for people that want to check out this game when it comes out, or if they're just going into the beta. This first one, it's a big one for me, I'll be honest. Use some goddamn teamwork. This game is not about being a one-man army. It is not Call of Duty. It is not Halo. You are not going to be just going off and wiping entire teams. Of course, if you're very skilled, you could do that. It's very difficult. Very unlikely. But you could. However, I would recommend that you don't. Work as a team. Stick together. Use your abilities the way that they're supposed to be used. They do work off of each other and help each other out. It seems like an obvious thing to say that you use teamwork in a team-based game. However, as every FPS has shown, most of your teammates are idiots and run off on their own. And that happens a lot here. But please, 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 try to stick with your team as much as you can. I know the lights are going to go off and do whatever. It's mostly about the heavy and the medium, but lights do need to be around their team. They have a lot of mobility. They can flank, they can come back around and help the team out. And that brings me to my next tip, which is I would recommend having one of each character. Of course, you can do crazy things that are goofy and can still work. You know, you could have 3 lights and you're just all dashing around like crazy and nobody can keep up with you, and you may still win with that. I played a match where the entire enemy team was mediums and they just threw turrets everywhere. Real annoying, real trash. But you know, there are other strategies you can do. But we were also outnumbered, so we were going to lose that either way. The turrets were just overkill at that point. But it also probably would have helped if we had one of each character, right? So the light will secure vaults and transport while also flanking when they need to. The mediums play support using heal gun and or defibrillator. I recommend having at least something to either quickly revive or to be able to heal, even if you don't want to use one of those, right? Just have one. Just have one that you can use. So many people go completely offensive, and again, you can do that. It's just, I wouldn't recommend it. It's way better to keep your team alive or be able to bring them back quickly. It can change the tide of battle. But they'll also help heavies lock down and secure cash outs, right? The heavy is going to use their barriers and secure the locations and protect the team. But they're also going to be in charge of leveling buildings and getting the cash out relocated, right? Taking it from the top floor and bringing it to the bottom. That's going to be the heavy's job. Thing of note, you can revive your teammates when they go down, with or without a defibrillator. It's just faster with the defibrillator, but the defibrillator only heals at half health, where if you hold whatever the revive button is, you will revive them at full health, but it takes longer. You can also move their token, so when you die, you drop like a little, I don't know, player token thing, and you can actually pick that up and move it so you can get it out of danger and do the revive elsewhere. So keep that in mind. So in conclusion, the game is fun and hectic. Cosmetics are very customizable, and there are a few problems, but nothing that can't be fixed. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below if you have played this game, you have thoughts, if you've encountered any problems of your own, what you think about the game, anything you want to talk about down in the comments. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.